Hello and welcome to another Driven Catalyst live stream. I don't have my audio monitors in yet, so I can't hear myself. But there we go. Today is going to be, we're moving the week around. Today is going to be like Trend Report Tuesday. The trend at hand is the 20th anniversary of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. I went and saw it in theaters last night. I was born in 2000, and Star Wars Revenge of the Sith was the first PG-13 rated movie I ever saw. I was raised by a Star Wars fan, and I'm so grateful, raised me to love the prequels. He loves Star Wars because he loves Star Wars. He was, I think, 11 when the first movie came out, and he saw it in theaters, and it's his thing. So when he had kids, I was raised up in the Force, and I was raised to be able to go toe-to-toe with... That's not true. My dad is not a confrontational person, so he did not raise me to go toe-to-toe with anyone. But I would go toe-to-toe at Star Wars conventions growing up with grown, middle-aged men, because to love Star Wars is to love Star Wars. There's that meme, though, no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans, and that is so true. Yeah, all that to be said, I am going to get ready for the day, and I'm going to talk about all the things about Revenge of the Sith that did not penetrate my child brain when I saw it for the first time when I was 11. Also, you may be thinking... Wait, I thought you said it was your first PG-13 rated movie. No, probably no one was thinking that because kids these days are shown PG-13 and upwards rated content from like the moment they're born. I am very lucky in that my parents were pretty careful with me. Revenge of the Sith is an intense movie. And I would say that the fact that I did see it so young did leave lasting marks. But yeah, that being said, I saw it when I was 11 because, and I quote, Star Wars fans are big kids. I think my dad just like wanted to watch Revenge of the Sith, and he like didn't want to do it alone. But so he showed it to me as an 11-year-old, and I watched it, and it very quickly became my favorite Star Wars movie. A lot happens. And even with that, I realized while watching it last night in theaters, I feel like I've maybe only seen it once, and I feel like it maybe that only time that I saw it was when I was 11. Star Wars has kind of been a fixture in my life for my whole life. I've been to a lot of Star Wars conventions, and then I've been to the more serious Star Wars conventions, if you will. I've been to Star Wars Celebration like 4 times, maybe now. The last time I went, I'm still so salty. They had one in Chicago, and my dad went with all his childhood buddies, and I didn't get to go to that one because I was in school, and it was like finals or midterms, and so I didn't get to go. But I have always been my dad's Star Wars convention attending buddy, and I'll hold his little duffel bag that he puts his swag and whatever purchases he's decided he's going to get, because he does collect. While he goes to the bathroom, we have it all worked out, right? We're a team when we go to these Star Wars conventions, and we wait in line and we hold each other's place in line while one of us has to go get drinks or go to the bathroom or whatever, right? None of that is very pertinent to us unpacking Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, but I am trying to sort of build a world so you understand how someone who, like, I was raised as, so Clone Wars was coming out actively. I remember in 3rd grade we had like Free Write Fridays, and I remember writing on Free Write Fridays like, I'm so excited because after school today I'm gonna watch Clone Wars with my dad. Like, Clone Wars was actively rolling out. I was going to Star Wars conventions and like walking up to card tables that didn't have lines at them to meet Ashley Eckstein and Matt Lanter and all the voice actors from Star Wars Clone Wars, like that show is so near and dear to me, and I feel like my consumption of Star Wars, that's the Star Wars that was made for me, and so I feel like that is the center of my Star Wars universe, and then everything builds out around it. So with that understanding, you could see then why, when the live action movies start coming out, I highly favor Revenge of the Sith, which is not the worldview that most Star Wars fans have. But we're seeing right now that Revenge of the Sith is doing so good at the box office for this anniversary re-release. And it's gotta be because all the Star Wars fans like me are getting to see it in theaters for the first time. I don't know. I think my age, I hate to generalize, but I always do it. But based on my own experience, like, I have only seen, barring like some anniversary re-releases, I think, I can't remember which one it was, but when I was younger, they put, was it Phantom Menace? I don't know. One of them came out in the IMAX theater. My dad took me. And I was like probably middle school at the time. And so I remember that. But like, I will never forget going to see Force Awakens and the feeling of like it being the first time that I'm sitting in a theater and the intro crawl, the first crawl comes up and I get to hear the Star Wars theme in a theater for the first time, and it's a new movie. That's a crazy feeling. And it just was huge. And I got that same feeling again last night, seeing Revenge of the Sith again. Okay, we're getting too caught up in all of the preliminary context, though, that I'm just trying to build a world to kind of justify the fact that, like, I don't know, I would consider myself a pretty big Star Wars fan. I was raised to be a pretty big Star Wars fan. But still, like, somehow I've made it through life being able to say, like, yeah, like, I kind of think I've only seen Revenge of the Sith that once when I was 11. There's just been so much to consume. There's so much, like, peripheral world building. There's collecting. There's the books, the comics, like, there's just so much to consume. So, but that being said, there's so many things about Star Wars because it is such a dense world. And one thing about Star Wars fans is they fill it in as much as possible. So there's like, if you grow up going to these Star Wars conventions, then there's like dumb lore too. Not dumb, but like lore like the ice cream maker man that like, they're like inside jokes within the community that then cosplayers start dressing up as these characters that are like in the movies for at an eighth of a second. And it's just this gorgeous, gorgeous culture. Like, prior to The Mandalorian coming out, everyone would come out in droves cosplaying as Mandalorians but customizing their Mandalorian armor. And then there would be like a big Mandalorian parade at all these Star Wars conventions. And I remember seeing that and like asking my dad all these questions about it and being like, so they should do a show on like the Mandalorian culture, because it's like crazy how beloved it is for fans, and there's like, we don't know much necessarily from the main oh, I can sit down and watch this. Because to me, as someone who is like an easy media consumer watching shows and movies, to me that feels more imminent than like diving into the books and the comics, right? And then, of course, Dave Filoni brought us The Mandalorian. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. And it's this phenomenon, Pedro Pascal. But yeah. That's not me trying to get clout for coming up with that idea. I just, like, it's just these things where, like, there are things that, like, fans just love. And it makes the world bigger. And then as people listen within the actual writers' rooms and stuff, these things get made, and then the world just keeps growing and growing and growing, and before you know it, there's like the 7 original movies that I know. Wait, 7? Is there 7 or 6? Hey, see, all of this to say, it's so easy to consider yourself a pretty big Star Wars fan, and then to on paper kind of not seem like you are one at all, right? Because I feel like I've said at least 90 things in this live stream already. Granted, we are 10 minutes in, that I feel like probably disqualify me from calling myself a Star Wars fan, and yet, like, I don't know. I feel like I got my credentials. So let's actually talk about the movie, though. Because the main point of why I want to talk on live stream about it is because, like, because let me tell you the plot. I'm going to, as a Gen Z girl, tell you the plot of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith boiled down to the basics. Anakin starts having night terrors about his wife dying in childbirth and becomes genocidal. And then, like, people start to see, like, hey, whoa, Anakin, hey, bro, are you doing okay? You don't seem like you're doing okay. And he's like, no, like, I'm literally fine. But then he's like, hey, I don't want to sound too sensitive, but, like, why aren't they making me a master? Everyone, me and all my homies think I should be a master. And then everyone's like, yeah, but, like, you're not really supposed to be quite so power hungry. Like, that's not the Jedi way. And listen, like, all in due time. Don't even worry about it. All the while, he's, like, his eyes twitching. And he's like, I just keep having dreams that my wife is going to die. I keep having dreams that my wife is going to die. All the while, he's talking to his wife. And she's like, I'm going to be fine, Annie. I'm going to be fine. Like, God bless her. Oh, my God. That's another thing I don't remember from being 11. The looks, well, I remember it a little, because of course. But the looks Padme serves, God bless our Queen Natalie Portman. Yeah, I just, like, did not realize how much of the plot was, like, my guy having an anxious attachment style and that not going well with the Jedi Order. I also didn't realize how much of it is, like, ego, like, crazy, I don't know, it was really interesting to me to watch it and then, like, kind of unpack it through a present day lens, right? It's definitely something that you should be watching with cultural competency. So I kept being like, okay, yeah, ridding yourself of attachment is good. That's a good idea to not be quite so erratic that all of your choices are being made based in, like, fear. That I think is valuable. But then it's also like, okay, all of this information, these are coming from a doctrine, right? So then that's, if you want to look at that, that's not really, this is not the separation of church and state necessarily. Like, why would you can't expect everyone to believe what you believe, Jedi Order, right? But then the alternative also is, like, scary, big, totalitarian leader that's being really shady about it. Right? Like, it's crazy that when you watch it as an 11-year-old, you don't know what a senator is. Maybe I should have. Maybe this is, maybe I'm teaching you something a little bit about the state of the average 11-year-old in the American school system. But, like, that also, frankly, that's still confusing to me as a as a fan of Star Wars that watches it to enjoy it, right? Like, to not like to just dive in and freak out about all the lore. Hey, I feel like I sound incoherent, so just know that I don't think I sound brilliant right now. I'm really just trying to unpack. I went last night at 9:40. So I'm not running on much sleep. I have a meeting in 10 minutes. And I prefer to have makeup on meeting days. Just because it makes me feel better about having face-to-face conversations with people. But yeah, so the politics, I think, of Star Wars is really interesting to me, and it's not something that when I first was viewing these movies and like being introduced to this world, I didn't really have any sense of how a government works. And then also, this is like an intergalactic government, right? So it's different. But obviously this is like a hugely spiritual and political text. Like, this franchise has a lot to do with both of those things. And so it just was really interesting to see like someone going against all of the doctrine that they have been raised to believe, like desperation making someone's values just completely go out the window, and like the fear of losing someone or something that Anakin loves being enough for him to slaughter younglings. That's insane. It's insane. Yeah. I think watching how like doctrine and government butt heads, and like I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, as things were progressing, I kept trying to contextualize it in like our world, and then being like, well, no, yeah, that's not necessarily ideal to me, or like this isn't ideal to me. But then also having obviously the Star Wars big picture, so I know Emperor bad. I know Darth Vader bad. You know what I mean? I know, well, obviously, Order 66, bad. Really bad. But like, as I'm getting all of these details, as someone who didn't know, like, I could give you probably all the main points of every Star Wars movie, but like actually kind of sitting down and watching it and like letting myself be taken into the world and be given details as the story progresses, like I was watching it for the first time again, was really interesting, I thought. Yeah, I think that's like probably my biggest, funniest takeaway. Was just like, hey, like watching Star Wars when you know what a senator is and what government looks like in a more adult context, it really makes a difference. And then also like, yeah, watching it with sort of the worldview that I was raised in, most people raised in America, like, we're kind of taught that like family is at the core of our culture. And so it's a lot harder to negotiate with like this doctrine that says like, rid yourself of attachment, and the idea that Anakin is going to have to jump through hoops for it to be okay and appropriate that he has a wife and kids on the way. Like, the fact that that had to be kept a secret, and like having to deal with all of that. Like, that was all just like really interesting to wrap my brain around as an adult. Because when you're a kid, it's just like, oh my god, battle droids, General Grievous, 4 lightsabers, what do you mean? You know? Yeah, something I will say too. So, we just watched Order 66 in Mandalorian, right? That was, what, a year or two ago now that we get that storyline. Can't remember if it's Mandalorian or Ahsoka, but they did a great job. I think it was Ahsoka. They did a great job of like us getting to see background context of that. And I don't think I remembered at all. And maybe this is like embarrassing to admit. I don't think it's embarrassing to admit. I think if you're really losing yourself in that world, like should be your reaction. I was like, man, there was like a pit in my stomach. And I was like crying at Order 66. Like, oh man, especially someone raised on Clone Wars. Commander Cody sending that Tamura Morrison, our king. Big love for Tamura Morrison. But like watching all of the clones sending that Sorry, yeah, I know this is not coherent. You're probably not getting much out of this. This is for me more than it is for the viewers today. And I do hope you can forgive me for that. But it was like gut-wrenching to watch Order 66. To have context, you don't need context, but to have more context and to just like be watching like the Jedis get wiped out for them, and like not even like, okay, no, it is context. It is context because it's horrific no matter what. But like, that is like the most insane of the insane when it comes to political violence for people to like be a part of a battalion, right? These Jedis are out there and a part of like whatever group they're in. And then all of a sudden Order 66 happens and their team, like the artillery they are there with, turns on them and guns them down at close range. Are you freaking kidding me? Oh my god, that's insane. That was insane. I'm gonna start, like, I got 3 minutes left. We're gonna curl my hair as fast as possible. Yeah, that was another thing that was just ridiculous. It's like, I don't know. There are things that like, when you're in Star Wars world, it's like, obviously that's crazy. But then when you watch it as an adult and you're like, no, that's crazy in every world. That's insane in every world. That's horrific in every world. And now that I feel like I have more real world context, like, it's gut-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching. It's not just like, hoo hoo hoo. And I used to play Star Wars with chess pieces and the pawns were Geonosians. Like, it's like, whoa. So all of this to say, it's so fun to go see Star Wars back in theaters. And it was really cool. I'm like really glad, honestly, that I'm glad I took some time off and consumed all the peripheral media and the new stuff coming out. I feel like it's been a while since like I've sat down. There's so many movies that like how many people actually do sit down. Honestly, it'd be awesome too to work in Clone Wars, to do just everything in order. That'd be insane. It would take forever. But yeah, there's just so much world. It's so funny. Like, I really do feel like the best way to explain the kind of Star Wars fan I am is that, like, I'm watching this movie and I'm like, yeah, this is the first time I've probably seen it since I was 11. All the while, like, characters are coming up on the screen. I know their full name. They're random side characters. I know their full character name. I know what actor plays them. And I don't frankly know how I have that information or what good it is to me. But yeah, so I'm that's a goal for the year, is to expand my Star Wars knowledge in a practical sense instead of just it being like an ever constant in the background of my life that I've come and go and enjoy as I please. I think I actually want to dive in and get all the lore, which is going to take forever, but I think it's going to be fun. Okay, it is time for my meeting right now. I need to log off and finish curling my hair really fast. Okay, have a great day. I will see you tomorrow. We're going to do video day tomorrow. I kind of broke things up. I decided this was going to be Trend Tuesday instead of Trend Thursday because I just wanted to talk about Revenge of the Sith. Okay.